Hello.
Hey bitches, what's
Hotties.
up?
What up?
Oh, just living the quarantine dream.
Oh, I know. So fun. I love it.
So
Well, this is
fun.
Hot for Justice. My name's Jessica,
And I'm Jamie.
and we're going to talk about episode 1, season 2 of Unsolved Mysteries.
Yes, the Netflix special. I mean, I
Listen,
don't know if it's like a special, but like whatever.
this I entitled Secret Agent Cody Banks because this guy was like legit. He was a legit, like, badass.
Oh, yeah, he was a boss ass bitch. Like, I mean, I guess
For
a
real.
boss ass man bitch, but you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. So
Um,
episode 1 is about Jack Wheeler, and there's like some
mhm.
debate whether he was murdered or just died mysteriously. And
You
I don't
know,
know how I feel.
I think it was a hit.
Okay, I kind of am inclined to agree after the second time I watched it, but let's get into it.
Let's
I
get
wrote
into it.
copious notes.
Mine
Okay,
aren't copious, but they're notes. So let's see how
so
this goes.
Jack had like a really long career, went to West Point.
Mhm.
He was like served as like the assistant secretary to somebody in like the military branch, and then
Yeah, he
he did
also
like consulting, like government consulting
Yeah, like he also went
contracts.
to Harvard and Yale.
Yeah,
Like he's very fucking well educated. He was
and
actually
he
the
served in
chairman.
like Vietnam and
Yeah, I was actually gonna say he's the chairman of the or was the chairman of the board of the Vietnam War Memorial. Like he was the
yeah,
one behind that whole.
it,
Yeah,
which is phenomenal.
it's so cool. If you guys haven't ever been and like seen all of the like war memorials, like definitely recommend going to DC and doing that whole
Hmm.
thing. Like even if school field trip or not, like
Yeah.
definitely highly recommend walking and doing that whole thing. Oh my god, I just had a coffee delivered to me. Wow,
Oh,
thanks, babe.
thanks,
It's like
babe.
Christmas.
Just kidding. Yeah.
I'll
So
Zach
like,
run one right over to you.
right. Thank you so much. No. This episode. So they say like he has this huge career.
Hmm.
And then they're talking about how he also struggled with mental health issues, and like how that must have made this so much more difficult for him because he did all these accomplishments with bipolar disorder, which can make things like
Yes.
really hard to function. And
Yeah. And they did go on in the episode and they say that like he was very good about taking his medications and
yes,
like with his psychiatrist, and like he was doing all of the things. Like he
he
was
needed to
doing
do. Yeah.
right, like he was doing his best to be productive and as healthy as possible for himself.
And that's why this is weird. Okay.
And that's why
So
I think it's a fucking hit.
yeah, so he is found in a landfill
Yeah,
by a man who's, like doing whatever,
doing his
pushing
job.
out trash. So
Yeah.
what's identifiable is his West Point ring. And so as
Hmm.
soon as the police came, they knew this was
This was
not a
some shit.
traditional, yeah. So at the time, he was working as a government contractor in cybersecurity. So
Hmm.
that's interesting. Um,
Yeah, I'm like motive.
yeah, he was severely beaten, which we'll talk about in a little bit because there's other reasons that could have been, but that are speculated. His day, so he's with his wife and his
Hmm.
family for Christmas, and they're in New York. And she says she was irritated because he left that next day to go to DC. He said he had to go do some stuff for work, and he was supposed to spend the day with her, so she was kind of annoyed.
Right, and like
So
they owned
he
two
leaves.
homes. Just for
Yeah,
reference, they owned two homes, one in the DC area and one.
one in New York.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
and that the wife
he
lived full time in New York for the most part.
yeah. So he goes to DC, whatever, and then he's on the phone a lot that day.
Hmm.
And then he goes to his second home in Newcastle, which is their
Hmm.
second home close to DC. And then neighbors reported a smoke bomb being set off.
Like a day or two before. Like,
No, it's that like
oh,
that.
it is the same day. You're right.
Yeah, and so the neighbor's house, there was like an issue because I wrote it down. He had been in a fight with those neighbors because they were building a house on public land, and he was just so irritated about it. He was really passionate about it, and he was suing them about it.
Yeah, like I
And
believe it was like a former landmark land or
Yeah.
something, like, and he was like, oh,
He
absolutely
just thought,
not,
yeah,
like,
I
he
thought it
was
was
fucking
atrocious.
hot, like,
Yeah.
a man was pissed.
Yes, and he was very passionate, everybody said. So the smoke bomb goes off, the police are called, and then and they're backtracking this, right? Like filling
Right, because this
in
is
what's going on.
all filling in gaps from after the body's discovered.
Yes, and then
Hmm.
so his neighbor sometimes would go in their house and make sure everything was right when they were
Hmm.
gone. So the neighbor, I think, went to go just check in on the house,
It looked
and
like there was a fucking robbery.
yeah, so there's spices everywhere.
I think a bag of
Um,
flour, like, that's like strewn on the kitchen floor.
yes,
His sword, his West Point sword,
broken
is, yeah,
dishes. He said there's comment on the floor. Yeah,
that's
his
what it
West
was. It
Point.
wasn't flour. I'm stupid.
No,
It
but there. Oh yeah,
was
but
the
there were
white
spices
powdery
and stuff.
stuff. Yeah.
But yeah, and then the sword and the shield from West Point were on the floor. It was
Yep.
really weird. It looks like it's been burglarized. So the police are called, and then they're like, "Well, this is weird."
Because they found his body literally like at the same time.
Right. And there's
Like, it was almost
no
simultaneous.
his
Like,
no briefcase, there's no phone,
no
but then
keys,
they
wallet,
find his phone at the neighbor's house
which is
with
fucking
the
weird.
smoke bomb. So the kind of thought process there is maybe, well, I'll talk about that later when we're talking about like
Yeah.
um when we're talking about potential
Hmm.
uh whatever. So
Motives and
then
such. Yep.
that was on the 28th. The 29th, he's spotted at a pharmacy near his house, which he would frequent to get his medication. He's in there asking for a ride to Wilmington to go get his car, which was at the Amtrak station. He had left it there when he went to New York.
Yeah. So he was
Um,
going to retrieve it because, I mean, parking at the airport's fucking expensive. So
yeah.
I get it.
He 6 p.m. gets a ride to
Hmm.
Wilmington. He gets a ride to the incorrect parking garage. He's in there and he's like telling the attendant like I think he said he was robbed, like his briefcase was gone, he had one shoe
Yeah.
on, he was very like
Yeah. He's like, he
frustrated.
looks, they show like security footage from him like talking to the person, and like
Yeah.
he looks flustered, like he looks bothered, like he's holding his one shoe, like,
Yes.
and yeah, he like keeps telling, he tells the person that his briefcase is missing because it matters, because they're like, oh, if you give us your parking ticket we can find your car. And he was like, well, the parking ticket was my briefcase, which was stolen, so like
Yeah.
I don't even know where the fuck my car is.
But
Like,
and his car wasn't even there.
his friends
Um
and family like admit, they're like, oh, he's like really bad with like spatial awareness, like he gets lost all the time, like,
yes. And
so that wouldn't
he would
be
frequently take taxis home
because
because
he forgot where he parked his car.
yeah, which I relatable, man. Um
Yeah.
So yes, they're saying he's super agitated, and he just kept repeating his case was stolen.
Hmm.
He looks in the videos like he's limping.
Yeah,
That might just because he only had one shoe on.
but like,
But
why is the shoe off? Like, I got questions, but
right. So then 30 hours later or 20 hours later on the 30th,
hmm.
he's seen in an office complex basement on the cameras. He's caught on the security cameras. The FBI is looking there because they find his body like Jamie said, all this is kind of happening like all at one time. um they He's seen in a black sweatshirt. That's not what he was wearing when he went to the parking garage.
No, he was
um
wearing a suit, I'm pretty sure.
yeah,
Like
there's
he was
none of
dressed
his
nicely, and when he leaves the, like, that building's, the underground, the basement, wow,
yeah,
words are hard. um when he gets
he
out of the
looks like
basement, yeah, he's wearing a sweatsuit.
he's hiding, I mean, really.
But
They
underneath,
go and search, there's nothing in that
yeah,
building that would connect him. He has no connection to that building. So
no,
it's interesting he even knew that stuff was down there.
right. And one thing that they said, and where he probably got the clothes from, was that there was a bunch of like employee lockers and like
Yeah,
locker rooms and stuff like that down there. So it's possible he could have either
just
just kind
swiped
of,
something.
right, but again, nobody knows why or like
Hmm.
what the thought process was or any of that.
Yeah. So he's caught on cameras there, and then he's
Mhm.
caught on cameras leaving, and he's walking the opposite direction of where his body is eventually found. So they're like kind of
Mhm.
tracking his movements. The 31st is when his body is found. Opposite direction, 14 miles away from where he was.
Mhm.
That's far.
Yeah,
The
that's like a
trash
good
came
30-minute
from
drive.
Yeah, the trash came from Newark, Delaware. They tracked the trash to the like several
Mhm.
dumpsters. It was likely like to have come from. And they swabbed, and they did find partial DNA that matched him
Also,
in one
I
dumpster.
thought that was like really cool how they were able to like deduce that. Like they figured out like I think like a couple block radius and like 6 dumpsters it could have come from.
Yeah.
And so they actually have like a person from like waste management like come on and like talk about it. And so dumpsters are actually really interesting. So they have usually like obviously like the big flap top, you know how to like throw shit in it, but there's also usually like
a side,
like an arm level door
on the side where you can.
Yeah, and there's usually 2 sizes of dumpsters, like a smaller and a larger. Smaller ones, it's usually pretty low to the ground, but in the larger ones, like you could easily like just kind of hop in there. And frequently, like transients and homeless people will jump into like that side hole,
and to go and get warm because it's cold
exactly
outside. And so the man was saying, well, that they call them what did he say? They said they called them something because
it was like tappers or something, because they would like start like banging when the dumpster got picked up.
Yeah.
And they're like, get me out of here.
So there's a big question. Did he get in there willingly, or was he dumped in there? Witnesses did see him get in a shared cab to Newark. So that's how they're supposing he got from Wilmington to Newark, which was again 14 miles. So the body's beaten, and this is where they're saying, was it an injury from being in the like dumpster and
being in a trash a garbage truck? I was trying to think of the word for that.
He has he aspirated blood. His lungs were collapsed. He had broken ribs. He had head and neck injuries. Like, his injuries were extensive.
Oh yeah. Like,
his cause of death was blunt force trauma. So it's just interesting. So the theory here that the FBI agents are working on were that like he sets off the smoke bomb because he's pissed about the neighborhood thing. He gets home and realizes, I dropped my phone, and he's pissed. Because think about that. He's a high-level government employee. Trouble with the law is not something you want.
No, and
also, he probably had a lot of shit on his phone.
Yeah, and like this was like 2010. Yeah, I would say, and like if I remember correctly,
it was a BlackBerry.
Yeah,
yeah.
So only the most businessy of business things happen on BlackBerries. So
facts. Yeah. So
tell me why I wanted one when I was in high school.
Right. I know, I did too, but I didn't have one. He drops his phone, gets home, realizes, and he's like, shit. And he flies into this rage, throwing shit everywhere, just like pissed, then leaves. And then the thing too, they don't suppose it was a robbery, like a random thing. He had his cash, a Rolex, his West Point ring. His body wouldn't have been dumped in a trash can. It would have just been left wherever it was.
You'd think, yeah.
So, like, my thoughts, it's very easy in this episode to go down this conspiracy theory hole. Like, it's so easy. But at the same time, this is really sus. He has a lot of government connections. Where's his briefcase?
Right. Like,
what was he working on?
I don't know if I subscribe to the theory that like he's the one that set the smoke bombs. I think it was a cover-up.
But how did his phone get there?
It was left there on purpose.
So like they
incriminate him. Like, it was planted.
Yeah, but like, why?
Why not?
But like, he didn't. There was no like a sign of a fight or anything at the house. And then he was seen like later at the pharmacy on his own, like seemingly all of his own accord.
Right, but I mean,
nothing. Nobody was forcing him.
Right, but I don't think that how all that happened in the order that the show is relaying
portraying
that
it to be. I mean,
yeah, because when his body is found, like that, and like the neighbor goes into the house, that all happens on the 31st.
Right. So and then they're realizing that the house was never reported like broken into until then.
Right.
Or actually, I don't even think it was reported broken into. I think they went there after they found his body, and then they found that scene.
So no, those both happened independent. Like nobody knew he was missing or like in the like landfill until like after the neighborhood actually like been like, yo, like there's this house is fucked up. Like there's a potential burglary.
Yeah.
So when the neighbor called the police and the like landfill worker called in the body, like it was almost the exact same time.
Yeah. Okay.
So like,
so yeah, it's like the timing, really.
right. So in my humble opinion, and I could be very wrong, and I'm probably very wrong, but in my head,
hit.
I think it's a hit. I think whoever, like, when he went to Wilmington, that's when shit got weird. And like everything was fine up until that point. I don't think anything happened. I think the robbery and the thing and the shit in the house was staged.
Like after he was dead.
Yes. And I think the smoke bomb thing, like, and like leaving his phone there, also staged.
I don't know. See, and then this is kind of what the show is like, supposing like, well, what if he just like had a mental breakdown?
Which is also very possible. Like, who am I?
Right, and that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, it's really easy to fall into like a conspiracy theory, but also like, what are the odds?
Right. So, kind of to wrap up my theory, I think when he got to Wilmington, he was like, "Oh fuck!" Like either he's being followed or he's already like skeezed out. Something's going on. Again, like why is his shoe missing? Like why is he like so agitated and distraught? And then like, I mean, here's the thing: if I couldn't find my car, like, yeah, I'd be pissed, but like I wouldn't be like acting like that.
And it happens obviously often, so they're
like all the time.
He's used to that happening,
right? So like I don't think he would be that excited. I don't think he would be that like,
he was
you know what
stressed
I mean?
about something else,
right.
And not having his phone.
And so he goes into that basement of that building to, you know, if he's being followed or whatever, if he's maybe he saw someone or like got like freaked out or spooked, he's like, let me just go into this place real quick, change my clothes, get out of here. And then he takes a arguably 30-minute cab ride. Like he's probably trying to get the fuck out of there.
Right. And like,
and he probably took a shared cab on purpose too, so that there was a person with them.
Right. And they,
at least again,
where's that person though?
Right.
Like, do you think, well, I don't know, maybe they just never think about it.
Right. And like, I mean, there's no way to know, like that person would maybe know that this guy is a, you know, West Point grad, like works for the government in cybersecurity. Like there's no way, like, I don't think that a random stranger, unless they had a conversation about it, would know. I think he was trying to get away from somebody or something.
I mean, yeah, they said his injuries were so extensive that the likelihood of it coming from the
like happenstance in the dumpster and garbage
trash. Yeah, like I don't know if I buy it either. It obviously he wasn't meant to be found. I mean, what are the odds? People are dumped in the trash all the time, and it's very rare that they're found. But like, also, I feel like he was
found the same day.
When people are dumped in the trash, like they are put in something and then like dumped. Yeah.
Right. They're usually like put in a bag or a suitcase or some sort of something, some sort of receptacle.
So like, I'm very interested to know what people think. So I talked about this with my cousins because I was like, what do you guys think happened? And they were like, well, I just think that he had
went crazy.
Yeah. And like just lost his shit and like that happened. And I just really like the first time I watched it, that's what I was leaning towards. I'm like, the simplest explanation is like obvious, but maybe that's what people are counting on.
That's what I think.
If he I'm
fully on the conspiracy train.
Right. The sticking point for me, he had his shit under control enough to have a very long and illustrious and very like amazing career. He accomplished a lot. He had high security clearances, which you ain't gonna get if you're having extensive mental health issues.
Correct.
You will not get it.
Nope.
So he was obviously in a good enough spot for that long. I mean, like what, a 40-year career?
Yeah, like I think his wife says like it would be very unlike him to go off of his meds willingly, like, or whatever, like basically for him to like not have it together. You know what I mean? Like the likelihood of that to her is like unfathomable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sad. It's so sad to watch her like tear up about it.
Yeah,
But
it's fucking heartbreaking. And like I said, like I really truly do
I don't
believe that
know.
something happened to
Yeah.
him.
I'm more inclined to believe that than like he just lost his shit and like went crazy. Things are
Yeah.
they're muddy, and I think they're muddy on purpose. So
Yeah.
let us know what you think about that, because I'm super interested to talk to people about it. And like if you like
Yeah.
leave us a comment or whatever, like we'll maybe we'll do like a comment box on our Instagram or something. You can like drop your comments and we'll read them,
Ooh.
and then we'll like discuss. That could be fun. I'll
Yeah,
write
I
that
like that
down so
idea.
I don't forget. You guys, I forget everything if I don't write it down. So
Oh, same. If it's not written down, it doesn't exist.
facts. Comment box. Yeah, so that's what I have. Okay, dicking around for a second. I binged watched The Flight Attendant on HBO Max.
Is it good?
Please, it's worth it. Subscribe to HBO Max for the month.
Mm-hmm.
Watch it. Watch Wonder Woman 1984 because we stand Gal Gadot,
Did you
and
watch
call
it
it a
yet?
day. No.
It's not good.
Okay, just stop though. I love her. Just
No, she's great. She's
okay.
fantastic.
Okay.
But like
I'm gonna watch it
TBH,
actually after we
or done with
finish
this.
recording. I'm gonna watch it with my friends who are here visiting safely. We're
Yes.
safely visiting.
We social distance and do all the
Don't at
things.
me.
So I actually, in speaking of like things that you mentioned today, I watched A Teacher on Hulu.
Same.
That show
I
pissed me
don't
the
know how
fuck off.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. Kate
Like,
Mora, I love her. I
I
love
know.
her. She's phenom. But let me tell you, I finished the last episode yesterday and I was kind of pissed.
I was very upset about like how the show ended. Like, I don't want to like spoiler nation it, but like, because I literally watched the entire thing in a day the other day.
But how else would it end? I mean, listen, the episodes are only
Right.
like 25 minutes, so you can easily binge this in a day. But
Oh no, literally, it took me not long at all. Like, I think I started it in the afternoon and finished it before Zach got home from work. Like,
I've been like watching it week to week, and the last episode just dropped. But like, yeah,
like I don't think the show is
we
bad. Like, I'm
we
not gonna say
actually
that.
could talk about it in its own recap because it's
It is
technically
kind
true
of true
crime.
crimey. I mean,
But
it's
okay,
like fake crimey, but
for those who are not familiar with it, it's about a
Mhm.
teacher who has sex with her student,
Student.
and he's 17 when they start hooking up, and then he is 18 by the time.
Do they have sex?
Yeah,
Because
and
like
then
their
so
biggest thing that they
she
keep
thinks
saying is
it's
that like
okay.
they well yeah, and they both say like we're like he's of age, like consent, consent, consent. Like that's
Right.
their like thing that they keep harping on.
But there's never consent when it's a power difference, like a
Correct.
right. But I just don't know how I felt about it because I don't know. I don't know because I've never been a victim in that way. So I can't really say. And I can't
Yeah.
also like for me, like I realize that some of the notions I have are not, they don't line up because he's a boy.
Right.
And so if
And
roles were reversed and a girl was hooking up with her male student, I would be like, I know I would feel differently. So that's kind of why, and I think they probably did that on purpose
they did.
to get you to think about it.
And they actually do the the kid, what's his name, Eric?
Yes.
He even like makes a statement like after like the whole trial and like she goes to jail thing.
Yeah.
Um like he makes a statement like to I think his like frat brothers and says like if this was the other way around, like you'd be high-fiving me.
Yeah.
Or you know what I mean? Like for you
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? Like for sleeping with like a hot like young student.
Yeah.
Like he'd be like if he was the teacher and it was the roles were reversed, like it'd be so much different.
Yeah. It would
But
be.
like she's a predator.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like
Well,
he wouldn't be, you know?
I don't know. I mean, because they still like were like when you went to college, they were like, "Oh, you hooked up with your teacher,"
Yeah.
and they wouldn't leave him alone about it. I don't know how I felt about it either, to be honest with you. He was like super salty about it, and I'm like, "Listen, bro, you need to go to therapy."
Yeah. Like I mean, I guess we're just talking about it now. Full spoilers for A
Like,
Teacher, but
also, don't. I mean, like we all at 17 make mistakes,
yeah, and like dumb fucking mistakes.
and like it's
And
not like she was 45. She was
mhm,
probably what, 10 years older, 12
right.
years older than him. I mean, that not that I'm not condoning that, but like I don't know,
Yeah.
man.
It's not
I
like
don't
she
know
was
how I feel
like
about
some
it.
like old crotchety gross old lady that was like she was young and hot. Like it's a
Right.
it is different.
And but at the same time, obviously what she did was
Very wrong.
there's no condoning that. She absolutely deserved to go to jail.
Mm-hmm.
She was dumb for thinking that she could tell her friend, who was barely her friend. That was such a
Oh
rookie
my
mistake.
god. Oh my god. Like when that happened, like especially because it was in like episode 4 or some
I know. I
shit.
was like, wait, what?
I was like, this is not nah. This
This
isn't
is
happening.
over. Anyways, I don't know. Watch it.
Yeah, let us know what you think because it's
This is a
wild.
screen recap and a screen recap.
Yeah. Here's your mini recap.
But now we must move on to the next recap because this is my favorite episode, the next one of
Oh
all.
shit. It was a good one. I did quite enjoy it.
Okay.
I mean as much as you can enjoy an unsolved mystery, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, it's intriguing.
It is intriguing. All right. So we'll cut it here and
Yep.
hopefully you enjoyed seeing our faces if we got this up on YouTube. Yeah, barring any technical difficulties.
It's recording.
Yeah, so hopefully it just, everything turns out okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how the internet works, so maybe somehow it'll get jumbled and it won't be on there, but if you did see our beautiful faces, you're welcome.
You're welcome.
I put on makeup when I wasn't going to today.
I did too. Gosh, dang, you guys, I was sitting in, never mind, it doesn't matter. I put makeup on too. I kind of did my hair. But anyway.
Oh, I didn't. Hello.
You can pull off that hobo bun though, and it looks good. I cannot.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
All right.
Thanks for listening.
Let's get rid of let's end this.
Okay. Deuces.
Right, bye.